FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt is literally the worst thing ever in the stock market. It is so annoying, but there's always a little bit of underlying truth there. You know, it's like there's a little bit of truth there, but it just gets blown out of proportion, causing people to freak out, causing stock prices to drop significantly. So today we're gonna talk about 3 different cases right now of FUD that are going on, causing stock prices to tank, which create great buying opportunities for us. It's just a matter of time before great stocks, great companies bounce back. So today we're gonna start off by talking about what's going on with Palantir. After that, we're gonna go over what's going on with Tesla. And at the end, we're gonna go over NIO and the Chinese stocks in general, because that one is a little more complicated. So I think you're gonna wanna stick around for that. If you enjoy this sort of content, please be sure to like the video, subscribe, and if you don't already have the public.com investing app, make sure to go ahead and follow me on that. You can buy stocks, sell stocks, and see exactly what I'm buying and selling in real time, as well as a full portfolio breakdown. Think of it like an investing app combined with social media. It is completely free to follow me. Use the code Michael when you sign up, and you'll get up to $50 in a free stock. But anyways, let's start off by talking about Palantir. We're gonna keep this one quick. This is the easiest one. Recently, a lot of news came out with Palantir with regards to ARK Invest selling off hundreds of thousands of shares of Palantir. They sold it off simply for one reason. And articles, media blew this up out of proportion. They sold off shares, 700,000 shares, about $20 million, because they had to rebalance their portfolio. It's simple. ARK Invest is an actively traded fund, so they're actively buying, selling stocks, and they have to keep in mind certain percentages that they have already set up, certain rules that they have set in place, so they don't own too much of one stock. Easy, simple, that's that. There's a couple of other things going on with Palantir in terms of it not getting as much attention in the media lately, so people are getting worried that has a high valuation, it's losing its attention among retail investors. But the main reason why it dropped over the last week is within the last 7 days, Palantir, ARK Invest sold off 700,000 shares of Palantir. That's it. That's an easy one. Next up is with Tesla. We've gone over a couple of these things before, but more recently, there's a lot of news been coming out from Tesla with regards to their full self-driving software, because Elon Musk has come out in 2018, said it was going to be ready. Then in 2019, he said it was going to be ready. They would have 1 million cars with this full self-driving technology, this update already released. Then just a couple of weeks ago in 2021, he said it was going to be 2 weeks away. But the thing is, we keep seeing it push back further and further and further, and ultimately this is true. This is completely true. It keeps getting delayed, but ultimately what Elon Musk said is, look, it took a lot, this is a lot harder of a problem than he originally thought, and looking back on it, it's obvious, because real world scenarios are very nuanced, and they have the most degrees of freedom in the sense that you have to make sure things, autonomous software, full self-driving, takes into account so many variables that at first you may not have thought would have been necessary. It may not have been the case. So ultimately he said it's been more difficult than he originally expected, so that is true. But ultimately the way that I see this is what's going on with Tesla is they're trying to do something revolutionary, change the way that cars and transportation is going to be forever in the future. With full self-driving, where you don't need to have your hands on the steering wheel at all, well, then you're going to be able to have robo-taxis. You're going to be able to have, you're going to be able to go from place to place without even touching the wheel, just programming it into the car. So that's going to change the way we see mobility, driving in the future. So I understand where that's coming from. Obviously, it's annoying when Elon Musk says something's going to be ready and it's not ready yet, but this keeps getting delayed. So ultimately, I think long term, we're going to see it. We're going to see it come. It's a matter of time. But right now, they're blowing this a little bit out of proportion, making investors even more scared, when ultimately it's going to come at some point. Right now, it is getting delayed. It is annoying because this is going to be a major source of revenue for the company. Right now with Tesla, full self-driving, it's $10,000 for the current highest level of the software, and $10,000 you get it. They said ultimately in the future, once they release the latest update, it's going to be a monthly subscription. So that will be really positive news for the company. We just have to give it a little more time. Wait, obviously, we don't like waiting. We don't like being told a date and not getting delivered, but ultimately It's coming. They need to make sure it's safe for people who are going to be driving. And then last thing I want to go over is what's going on with NIO and what's going on with a couple of Chinese EV stocks, Chinese stocks in general. So recently there's been a lot of news coming out of China with regards to Didi, which is like the Uber of China. It's a driving platform, like, what do you call it again? It's just like Uber, the Uber of China, where you can go from place to place, go on your phone. The difference between Didi and Uber is that Didi has like 500 million users. Uber has only 100 million, mostly due to the population differences between the US and China. That's the main reason. But because what happened recently is the Chinese government cracked down on Didi, and essentially what they did is they said, look, we're going to be taking your app off the App Store. No new people can download your app because we need to do an investigation into data, into how you collect data, how you use it, and how you distribute it. Because recently Didi had an IPO in the US stock market, so Chinese government's cracking down on this, and this has caused a lot of fear across the entire market. Again, this one, there is some validity to this because we all know with China, they have ultimate control over all of their companies. So everyone I've been seeing in the comments, which is why I'm talking about this, everyone's saying, who cares about China if they put restrictions in place on NIO? I've seen some comments like that, or put some restrictions in place on Didi. It has nothing to do with some of these other EV stocks. Ultimately does, because what it shows us is that if China doesn't like something, which we know, they can put a policy in place to really just screw a company. Like Alibaba got wrecked earlier in late 2020 and early 2021 because of what happened with Jack Ma. So we have to see that ultimately, no matter what Chinese stock you're invested in, there is always that risk. But when we're talking about NIO, which is the one I want to talk about in particular, I don't think what's going on with Didi would happen with NIO, simply because China wants NIO to be the leader in EVs. They want them to beat Tesla. The government is going to push as much as they can, support as much as they can to have a Chinese electric vehicle company be the dominant player. So I think, you know what, there's no way to know for sure, but I think right now we're seeing a big overreaction, a big reaction to this news coming out from Didi, which is why we're seeing NIO down, XPeng down, Didi down, why we're seeing Li Auto down, why we're seeing all of those down. Ultimately, I think it's a bit of an overreaction, and we'll see all of these correct back over time. Also because NIO, XPeng, Li Auto, backed by the Chinese government, EV industry is very young, growing rapidly, and the Chinese government's going to want those to succeed. So I just wanted to address some FUD, underlying truths behind it, and what I think about those three scenarios with Palantir, Tesla, and the Chinese stocks. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. A little different format. If you did, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next episode.